Hi, Nick Collier here, and this is my shop. Come join me. We'll have some fun.
Well, we got one last thing to make for this guy, and then he's out the door, and I'm sure he's going to have more things for me to do because he's rebuilding this car from scratch. And but at the moment, you know, this will be it. So here's the project. It's a little locking mechanism for his 1922 Elcar, E-L-C-A-R. And this one, interestingly enough, is made out of steel. So I thought it was brass, but it's not. And so what we're going to do is, because I don't have any material this size exactly, well, it is, I do have it this size exactly, but it's hot roll, and if I ground it down to get a nice smooth surface, it would be thinner. So I'm going to start with a, oh, and you probably can't see it. There we go. I'm going to start with a piece of square stock here and take off the top layer down to the just above the layer of the thickness of this. And hey, let's just get started. Alright, well, before we begin, let's make sure we've got this thing in the right position. I'd say somewhere right in there. Yep, that looks pretty good. Alright, that gives us a nice surface to work from, and it's just a little bit too long, which is just right. So what we want to do is come in on the other end. Well, look at that, it walked. Okay, so, and are we still thick enough? Yes. Alright, so we're gonna recut it. Alright, that's a little better. I'm thinking we could come in. I mean, this is substantially thicker. Well, not substantial. It's a little bit thicker. I think we can just grind that when we get ready to polish it. So, we're going to put it back in from this side, do the same thing again. Because we need to make two of them. Plenty long. Okay, good. Take it out. And we're already machined on this side and this side. We just have a rough edge on this side, but I think we can just, when we go to polish, we can just kiss it and polish it off. So let's see what we can do about laying this thing out. Okay, so let me get my cheater glasses because I want to come in close on this one. Now we're going to come in here And I believe that this line here is a pretty straight line. Well, okay, it's not exactly straight, but we can put it on straight and then come in and grind that to a slight angle. So we're going to just lay it out as a straight line. Something about like that. Oh, come on. It's all polished, so it's slippery. And it moved. All right, there's our line. And it's going to go right down to about there. Is that correct? I like it. Alright, we're going to just take this over to the little bandsaw and go ahead and bandsaw that off and see what we come up with. Alright, well now we're just going to grind that square again. Okay, so we're a little thick on this part, but I want to come in and catch that back side anyhow. So we're going to take a measurement, and we're at 250, so that's a 1/4 inch. And I want to give it about 10 thousandths on each side to be able to polish it off. So that's 250 to that's 270. Right to there. Can I see that? I can't. Let's do a little colorant on it. And do it again. That should give us what we want. Let's see if I can see it. Get my head in the way here for a sec. I can see it, but just barely. All right, well. See what we got. So we're 20 thousandths to go. There's 15, 17, 18. That's probably going to be good. All right, well, we're 25 thousandths, which is good. And that gives us plenty to polish off. So at this point, let's take it back. And we're going to flip this and do the other side. Simple as pie. All right, so that's a good start. Now we're going to bring it all the way back out. And we know that edge is true with the edge of the bit. And the bit, I believe, is 1/2 inch. Half an inch. And so we're going to come in 1/4 inch. And that'll get us centered to 250. That'll get us centered to the bit. And then we want to come in 300? Nah. $300. Well, there must be an edge there or something. Let's take a measurement. This may be different than the other one. There we go. 275. Okay, 1/2 of 275. So we can just come in another 137. $137. And that centers us right on top of that piece. We're going to come in and cut back on that piece. Where's our... Here it is. So we got a ways to cut before the... Yeah, I'd say 5/16. So we take it around to this side, do the same thing. All right, so we've got two sides. And I think what we want to do now is go ahead and start working the surfaces to get them as smooth as possible. Not all the way to the polish, because we're going to have to braze them, and but closer. So we're going to do a little bit of that, and all right, well, we're going to put the final polish, not the final polish, but a more polished, and we did this side already. You can kind of see that it's much smoother and ready to take a polish. So we'll work this side a little bit. Well, that ought to do it. That got it in a lot closer. Now we'll come up into these edges with the buffer and clean those up really good. But that just kind of broke the edges there. And it looks pretty good. Okay. Okay, well, now that we have the shaper functioning, now it's time to tool up, right? Well, that's pretty much what we're going to have to do here. Now, what I got just the other day was a little 4-inch vise. That's going to go real nicely on there. And it had that stupid blue color on there from, you know, I don't know. So I just took a torch and just torched the shit out of the paint. You can see just a little bit of that blue paint left right there. And it kind of brought it into this equal, or this, you know, oh, look, here's some more of that blue paint, right? That stuff. And so I'm really happy with how it came out. I mean, it matches the oldness of the shaper itself. All right, well, that's one thing, and I definitely have to make T-nuts for that. But the other thing that I want to work on today is I got a small rotary table for this, and a real nice one too. I mean, I saw it on eBay, and it's American made. It's got all the right functions. I mean, I won't be able to do every gear with this, but I could every spline with this, but I could probably do many splines. You know, some odd numbers might be a problem. Now what I want to do, and I'm going to swing you around the side here. What I want to do with this rotary table is I want to kick it up like that. Oops. So it can sit facing the shaper, and I can put a gear or something that needs a spline right here and rotate it, right? So, you know, how to do that, there's a good question. I can bring it into about here and come up with a plate of steel that'll be even with this all the way up, and that would give us something, but it's not going to give us the full range. What I want to do is I want to bring this out to here and have a better range. But in order to do that, I've got to figure out a way to get something attached to here, which I think, and we're going to swing you back around. And you know, this is all speculation. I have no idea if it's going to work or not, but there's a pretty good lip right here. I mean, it must be almost ½ inch. It is cast iron, but if I come in with a pretty wide plate that, you know, that'll kind of get in between these two here, and then do the same over here, I think I can get something to kind of hang on to that, kind of like the backing plate you do for a steady rest or something like that. So that'll get us here to this surface, but I need to come back you know, a fair amount, and I'm not sure how to do that. So we're gonna kind of play around with some cardboard maybe, and just see if we can kind of come up with something that's gonna work, or maybe just do some sketching. All right, well, what I'm seeing is the shaper is here, right, with the plunger head, and then the table is here like that, and the rotary table is here kind of like that, with another certain amount out there. And so, and this probably comes down a little further. And so we need, what do we need? So what we're going to do is put a plate of steel here, right? And one here, and some kind of gusset to kind of hang on to it, and then one here. That is one hell of a lot of steel, but it should be fine. Now the one problem is that we don't have any support from here at this junction here, so we have to kind of make this wide enough that we can get a gusset in there too. So let's make this three-dimensional, kind of like that. And this would be three-dimensional, kind of like that. right? And then the gusset would be three-dimensional. So let's take some measurements and see what we've got. Well, we've got 7 inches wide down here, that's for sure. Right? And we definitely have 7.5 inches tall. Okay. And our rotary table is 3 3/4. So we need to come out 3 3/4. Let's see, we're going to go from here to there, no, to here. 3 3/4. Right? Well, actually, no, all the way to the line. Now, one thing I want to do is I want to put a little step right in here. So let's just keep playing with this. Now, the rotary table is much wider, so it's going to be 9.5 inches. So this plate here wants to be 9 1/2, and it's possible that we'll make the upper part of it more round, like that. Yeah, not too bad. And then with a couple of slots for bolts. Yeah, I like that. Now, do we need to come up with any other measurements? Well, we certainly want to come up with some, and this wants to kind of be like that. We want to come up with a couple of slotted holes, or holes, but we'll figure that out later. So it's 9.5 wide, which puts this up on top. So really, we could be this way. This is 7.5 wide. So this would be 7.5. Okay. And then the holes, instead of it going this way, the holes would be here and here. For to bolt it on. All right. I think what I want to do is make a more accurate drawing. This is a quick sketch. All right, we're going to cut a couple of blanks out to this size, and of course that's 1/2 inch, but you know we need to polish it, so we need to take a piece of 5/8 and take it down to a little bit above a 1/2 inch, and so we've got room to polish. Okay, I think we're going to just take these over to the small lathe and clean them up. We'll be right back. All right, that's that for that. We got two little plugs waiting to be attached to their little arm there. Okay, we're all set up and ready to go. All we need to do is get a little bit of, I'm wondering if silver solder might be better here. Problem is sometimes silver solder doesn't fully take, whereas brazing always will. Okay. A little bit of eye protection. Wipe the dust off. There we go. Flux. I think we're set to go. And when brazing, I always go for an oxidized flame. Okay, let that set up just a little bit. And we can flip it around. I'm thinking we want to get just a little bit in here. And how does that look? Looks like it lost its alignment just a little bit. I think I want to come back in and redo it. All right, pretty good. Nice. All right, well, we got the beginning. I'm going to go quench this end of it so that it cools off and I can start working with it. Alright, well, let that cool down on its own, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, well, now it's time to clean up, and of course I didn't turn the camera on. I already did one side, and it's reasonably clean. We're still going to take it in on the buffer and take it out down a little bit further. This side here, Basically, we're just grinding off the brazing, the extra brazing, and doing it with a hand file. Okay, we've got kind of a Cratex wheel on there. I mean, not Cratex, but what's it called? Scotch-Brite. All right, let's see if we can take it to a final polish. I'm thinking not so much, but it's worth a try. Looks pretty good. Alright, that's pretty good. Now we just gotta cut them off and shape the outside there, that outside edge, and we're set to go. Okay, this is the original, and this is what we cut. And if we line it up like that, we've got just enough room. Perfect. Okay. Okay, now we take it in and polish those ends, and then we come back in and drill our hole and drill our counter or our set screw hole, and we are done. All right, well, we want to drill in without drilling all the way through, right? So let's get a calipers. Take some basic measurements here. We're looking at 475. So we want to come in without the tip. And I'm going to bring it back 50 thousandths. Okay, so that's going to put us right there. Let's see how that does. Stop there for a second to take some measurements. Last thing I want to do is go too far. A piece of brass rod, that'll work just fine. We could go just a little further. And it goes another 1/16 beyond that. I'm just too scared to do that. Put a lot of time into that, finishing that thing off. Last thing I want to do is punch through. Alright, looks good. One last thing to do, we're going to put a set screw in the top out here, and we're done. Well, here we go again. We've got another project done and getting ready to go out the door. The water pump part of this was pretty cool, and then of course making the little components for the door. So I'm going to call the customer here in a couple minutes, and he's going to come and get them. So, hey, this is Nick Collier, checking out.